ocean as we can grow a coffee tree. As you look towards the mountain area, I want you guys to look at these beautiful Norfolk pine trees that I will be referencing later on in our tour. The significance of us being able to grow our coffee trees at this elevation. None of our fields are grown higher than 1,000 feet. When you grow your coffee trees at lower elevation, it brings a smoothness. Why? There's much more oxygen down here. As the world of coffee... Oh, thanks! I'm sorry. You see those white birds? There's the pig. You see them? Go move forward. I didn't match it. There's a pig right there. You see him?
I don't see
and
it.
I have to apologize. I get excited.
I see no pig.
When you see those white cavalier birds on the top, I knew there were pigs. They make the pigs do all the work underneath and then swoop down and get so I apologize for yelling. Okay? But there are pigs on our farm, so keep your eyes out on them. Again, when the world of coffee, most of them are mountain growth. As you grow your coffee trees higher elevated, it instantly increases the acidic level because the oxygen level to the coffee trees are restricted. Down here, much more smoother. The first of our coffee trees are planted on the walking path, 1987. That visitor center that you guys all signed up at is actually constructed from 2 used sugar plantation houses in 1998. That's when we officially became a coffee company here in the island. And just on an off note, a little over 4 months ago, a lady came through the front door. As we always do, we greeted her. She gave me one of the biggest smiles. She looked at me and she said, "This is my living room. That was my kitchen. That was my bedroom." 2 used sugar plantation house. I still live in a sugar plantation house. As you can see, we are a working farm. This big white building here is our processing plant where I like to say the magic happens. And against the fence line are mechanized harvesters that when we come back, I'll go more into detail. What's the color of those 3 dump trucks? Red and yellow. What's the color of a ripening coffee cherry? When I talk about cherry trucks, the cherry trucks are what brings all the ripened cherries to be produced and processed in our processing plant. As we look out towards the ocean end, you'll see more of our outdoor agricultural coffee trees. Being an outdoor agricultural crop, they're very susceptible to outdoor weather conditions. How many of you on the tram, unfortunately, have ever experienced a hurricane? Not the best of all experiences. In 1992, our state of Hawaii endured a very devastating Category 4 Hurricane Iniki. I lived through that. It devastated our islands. Here on the coffee estate during that time, we sustained close to $8.5 million worth of damages to our facilities and structures. But the main emphasis, our coffee trees were just planted. So the coffee trees were like these guys right here, keikis, very low to the ground. So they didn't sustain any damages. So I'm so proud to say, after 4 short years of that devastating hurricane to the present day, Kauai Coffee is now officially the largest coffee producer in all of the U.S. on this little beautiful island of ours. And again, hopefully I'll get to see you in the blooming months next year, October, February, March, April, and May. We'd be looking at a snowfall, and the aromatics off of their blooming cycle is astounding. You'd be able to smell our coffee trees before you could even see a tree. That's how strong that beautiful jasmine smell is. And because at this elevation, I failed to mention also, we have a little over 4 million plus Arabica grown coffee trees on this estate. When you think about that number, we have more coffee trees here than all the population in all the Hawaiian Islands combined. And with these 4 million trees, we have less than 4 months to harvest time. That's why hand picking is not an option. We have to utilize those mechanized harvesters to quick stamp the harvest time because over-ripened cherries do not produce quality coffee for us. So we have to utilize night-and-day harvesting to get all of these ripened cherries off. Shortly, as I mentioned earlier, these Norfolk pine trees. Come next year again, October, November, December. That's what you'd be seeing in all of our Hawaiian homes. That's our Hawaiian Christmas trees. We're not able to grow those fine little trees that you guys do on the mainland. And when you see them growing in straight lines on our orchard, they're grown all throughout the orchard strategically to break up the stronger wind gusts and trade winds coming in from the ocean and from the mountains. Obviously, we can stop all the winds, but we know where the stronger wind gusts come into our orchard, especially when the trees are laden with the blossoms. They need that 24 to 48-hour period to transition into the cherries. And right now, when the cherries are fully ripened, they're very easily shaken off. That's the mode that the harvester shakes them off. Again, they act as some kind of resistance to those stronger wind gusts. Keep your eyes out, the birds are everywhere. So as we take this turn, on the backside of these Norfolk pine trees is a field that is 2 years off of their trimming. When they get too tall to be driven over by the harvester, we trim them back. Then we give them close to a 3 to 4 year coffee break where we literally do nothing with them. Aside from the beautifulness of our Arabica grown coffee trees, for me, the two superstars are our ground and maintenance crew. They have to work in the sun all day long, and they have to take care of 2,800 acres of our coffee trees. Without them doing their due diligence, we would not be able to see the trees. The weeds would overrun them. And look at the beautiful ripening of our coffee cherries here. So, without them, when the trees are trimmed, we check the drip irrigating line, use the bigger machinery to take out the weeds and vines, and check the drip irrigating line. For me, they are two superstars. Look at every tree around you, all 4 million plus of them. We're proud farmers here also. Each of these trees that you see was planted by hand by seed in planters. We don't use a machine. We start them in planters. We wait 18 months till that root system is established. Then we will transplant them in this beautiful orchard. 1,300 trees per acre, a little over 40 plus fields with over 100,000 trees each that amasses our 4 million production of our coffee trees. So now let's see your knowledge. Any coffee tree grown anywhere in the world, hand-picked, mechanized, harvested. How much poundage of usable coffee do you think one single tree can provide you in 1 year of harvesting? How much pounds of coffee? How much is that? 1 pound per tree. That's it. Okay? So let's get back to why coffee is expensive and why people put all kinds of junk in your bag. Remember that slimy skin that makes you go to the bathroom? Many coffee producers keep that on. Why? More junk in your bag, less real coffee beans. Because on average, every tree can only provide you with 1 pound. Kauai coffee again. You'll hear this throughout the tour. I am so proud to tell you, Kauai coffee is a single origin coffee producer. And that makes us very elite in the coffee world. Give me any bag in our visitor center, blue or brown, any bag. I can trace where the beans in this bag came from. I can literally tell you the field that we harvested this from. No, most coffee producers cannot. Why? They blend with all kinds of things in your bag. They don't even know where the source is. We can source every bag to the field that it was harvested from. And that makes us truly elite. And our quality levels are through the roof. Another misnomer in our world of coffee is that coffee is native to the Hawaiian Islands. It is not. Although we have all the factors to grow it successfully, coffee is not native. We brought 8 distinct varietals to be grown here. Our number 1 dark roast is our Kauai Blue Mountain. And if you are familiar with coffee, that sources itself from the very popular Jamaican overdue. It's a very light, bright, slightly sweet-toned dark roast. Then a majority of our other varietals are Brazilian. Our number 1 varietal that accounts for 80% of our fields is our yellow Kauai. It grew well at this elevation. That's why when the cherries ripen, a majority of our cherries will turn yellow. Foundation of all the flavored coffees, all the decants, and a majority of the brown bags in our gift shop. Red Kauai, Akaya, very nice, earthy, medium roasted, Brazilian varietals. I usually say Ikatu and Yellow Bourbon are 2 of our newer varietals. Yesterday was the first day we bagged our yellow Kauai. Okay? So go try it. It has a sweeter sugarcane sweetness to the back end flavor profiles on that coffee. How many of you on the tram enjoy a darker roasted coffee? I am a darker roast girl. My favorite dark roast, whenever I drink this in the morning and close my eyes, I feel like somebody's giving me a nice big warm hug. It's a hug in a mug. Mundo Novo. It's the smoothest of our darker. Then I gotta talk about them, our cousin company. How many of you guys have heard or know about Kona coffee? Kona is not coffee. Kauai is not coffee. We're regions that grow the varietals that I'm talking to you about. And what is associated with Kona coffee is called Typica. Typica is one of the oldest coffee varietals in our world of coffee. And that originally sources itself from Guatemala. We grow that same tree here. And guess what I'm going to say? Smoother. We're the lowest elevated of the Hawaiian Islands. Elevation rises as you go to the Kona region. Secondly, we are the eldest of all the Hawaiian Islands. We're 5 million years old. This brings down acidity, and you see that red tinge to our soil? We're the only island with this soil system. So when we plant our coffee trees in it, it brings a richness to our coffee. Shortly, Edgar's going to stop the tram over a very important sustainability factory. Built mid-1800s when they had no big machinery, no roadways where it's sourced. This irrigation canal. Look at it. Hand dug with shovels only. Mid-1800s. This is the reason we can source our water down and grow our coffee trees at lower elevation. I'm sorry, I gotta bring you back to my youth. You see this a little higher up in full flow? Back in the day, where were the neighborhood kids going down irrigation canals? It was so much fun. You could float on it, you were having fun. The only thing we had to concern ourselves with is having somebody that loves us enough to wait on the bottom of the hill to bring us back up. We didn't have cell phones back in my day. Okay, it was so much fun. Now you gotta pay for that fun. Unfortunately, it's called Tubi. Go do it, guys. Did you guys do it? Did you guys have fun? Awesome. So why did most of you on the tram know about Kona coffee? Kona, again, is a region on our youngest island of Hawaii. And they started their coffee industry mid-1800s when every other Hawaiian island was focused on sugarcane. Because in one point, sugarcane was a more financially stable crop than coffee for us. That's why we all went there. But since we've been doing it in 1998, we do it a lot smoother. All Hawaiian coffee is good. We're just of many grades above. U.S. productions of coffee. Although I keep on saying largest coffee producer in the U.S., U.S. productions of coffee is insignificant in our world of coffee. Aside from the Hawaiian Islands, only Puerto Rico and California produces coffee in the U.S. We're 0.01 to 0.04%. We're insignificant. But it pries me to let you know that Kauai coffee is one of the leaders in the technologies used in the world of coffee. Aside from mechanized harvesters, when we get to the processing plant, I'll go more into detail about the AI technologies that grades and sorts each green bean. And we are one of the few that utilizes high-end drone technologies. As the drones fly over the fields, they can actually let us know the overall health of the trees, if the trees are getting enough water. They can fly over the field and pinpoint any kinds of insect infestations developing in our trees. And can you kindly remind me again, what's the color of a ripening coffee cherry? They can fly over a field, aside from the inspectors, and tell us the percentile of ripened cherries happening off of a field, just off of those red and yellow colors. When we hit a high 70 to low 80 percentile, which normally happens mid to late September, October, November, that's when we're going to start our one and only harvest of the season. And remember, once we start, we have less than 4 months to shake all of those cherries off. Looking at these trees here, they're beautiful. They stay green year round. They're very resilient grown coffee trees. We can do yearly harvest off of them, and hopefully when I get to see you guys again in February, March, April, and May, when they're fully laden with the blossoms, they do attract a lot of bees. But our Arabica grown coffee trees are self-pollinated, so we don't need the bees for any kinds of pollination processes off of them. Can you kindly begin looking towards the bottom end of our trees? You'll see essentially their lifeline, that drip irrigating line. Although we're called the garden now, we on the west side of Kauai is essentially the desert end. And these are very, very thirsty trees. So that drip irrigating line is essentially their lifeline. Because we're sourcing the water down from our Alexander Reservoir and our Hanapepa River, that drip irrigating line sources all of their water. And if we do not keep their drip irrigating lines clean, they will not produce versus anything close to that poundage yield. So this right here is essential. These are called sand filtration systems. As the water goes through, it filters all the sand particles and smaller sediment. So as the water gets distributed within that drip irrigating line, there is no clogging. Because again, any kind of cloggage, the trees will probably die because we are such a hot site, and they need that water to produce us those cherries. So now we're going into an area that is not productive to coffee production. So within the fenced-in area on this side, you might see some local cattle and horses. And if you look through this tree line within the corralled-in areas, you might see some donkeys and mules and goats. I know the goats are not there because we see them now randomly running throughout our orchard. This tall grass, you can see the animals have been here already grazing down on this tall Johnson and Guinea grass. Very nice feeding for the animals that come around here. But keep your eyes out. They might be here. When the world was shut down during COVID and we ran no tours, the first official tour we did, we had every animal lined up against them because they like to have their pictures taken. I kid you not. They'll come. They probably retreated in within the fenced-in area because of the heat, but they love to pose for pictures. So keep your eyes out. They might be in here. And again, our ever-present pigs are running randomly. So look up against this side towards that area. A full white horse, that is white mocha. If you see a spotted brown and white horse with a full white face, that is white macchiato. Oh yes, I did name them. I named everyone. Okay? So keep your eyes out. So as we keep on going through, whenever we get visitors from the big boys of coffee, you know what? I'm in the mood today. And we have a full chat. I'm going to tell you a joke. Okay? So, why was the cow tired after giving birth? Because it was decaffeinated. That is a good joke. Come on.
Stables and
Look
corrals down
down
below.
there, you might see some local cattle. Okay? They appreciate this joke.
Yes, they cow. Little brown cows down there.
I will tell you later.
Ooh, cow.
So, whenever I get the entities, the bigger boys of coffee, Cologne, oh there, you see the cattle? You see how I work coffee and cattle? Come on. Whenever I get visitors from our bigger entities of coffees, Colombia, Brazil, Ecuador, Ethiopia, they're astounded to how we are able to grow coffees at this elevation. Why? A majority, if not all, the world of coffee is all mountain growth. That's where all the rain and water sourcing happens. And again, coffee trees are very thirsty trees. You see that tree line of Norfolk pine trees? That's the high end of our orchard. And look at this beautiful red soil. We're the only island with this soil system. And if you look behind me, again, now, when the trees get too tall to be driven over, they get trimmed back. And now our ground and maintenance crew goes into maintaining, replacing that drip irrigating line. Because we are the hot side, that drip irrigating line provides them all their water sourcing. In fact, in the world of coffee in general, Kauai coffee has the longest drip irrigating line used of any coffee farm anywhere in the world. We have close to 2,500 miles of it. So each of our trees are drip irrigated. As you look, as we pass this high trees, this open pasture land, because of the steepness of it, is leased out to our local ranchers. Closer to the ocean end, can you see those white top buildings in the foreground? That is the processing plant that we passed by at the very beginning of the tour. Because of Edgar's impeccable driving ability, you guys didn't realize, right? We elevated this high up on our orchard. Right there, Edgar. And as you can see, our 8th island of Niihau. And because we elevated so high up, you can actually see some of the white sandy beaches on the planet. Nothing on that island except homes. Less than 50 people populate that island. We have a native Nihauan, Wailani, who was born and raised on that island. She says when she goes to visit relatives, she has to be medically cleared because they don't want no illnesses on that island. And to date, they have the most authentic Hawaiian language that our kings and queens would have spoken. Hawaiian dialect of Hawaii. What you hear now is more modern Olelo. That's what the missionaries transitioned that original language to. But because that is a restricted island, I am so happy to say that native tongue will never filter away. Let her talk to you, okay? So getting back to our coffee trees. Looking at each of these trees again, they need a lot of water to produce those cherries. We get less than 16 to 18 inches of rain throughout the year. Each of our Arabica-grown coffee trees will need 5 gallons per day to sustain themselves. Over 4 million trees, that's an excess of 20 to 22 million gallons of water per day. If it's not rain, we do not utilize ocean water. How do you think we're probably able to irrigate all of these coffee trees? Again, we are so blessed on this island. And in that direction, we have one of the wettest spots in the world, Mount Waialeale, that rains practically every day out of the year. And because we're sourcing that water source, that's how we're probably able to maintain and irrigate all of our coffee trees. Again, aside from the Hawaiian Islands, Puerto Rico and California, and none of them have that. And without that, you cannot produce coffee successfully in this amount of coffee trees that we have. So I know nobody in the U.S. will ever outproduce us in coffee production. So now shortly, Edgar's going to stop to give you a beautiful view of this orchard. And it's almost like a vineyard, right? So you see the slopage? This is the steepest that we can grow our coffee trees. Why? Because of the mode of our harvesting. We have to drive a harvester over the trees. And if it's too steep of an incline, it will be too unsafe for backers to run those harvesters over. So this is the steepest that we'll grow our coffee trees. And again, we don't need to grow it any higher up because of the source that we can bring our water down to us. Can you see those areas where there's no coffee trees? It's because of the irritations on the farm that we see at the onset of our tour, our pig population, okay? Even when, and you see cherries on the trees, right? Do you see the birds eating them? Nope. We have no wild animals on this island, especially on the farm. The pigs are our irritations, because why? Again, they don't eat the trees, they don't mess with the trees. They pull at that irrigation line at the bottom end to get at that water source. And what do pigs like to do on the farm? They like to play in mud. So they very disrupted mud puddles throughout our farm. And we trap and release to our local piggeries. And I truly hope, I'm not saying this to offend anybody. We trap and release to our dinner tables and freezers that we're not putting a tent in there anywhere. What is the greatest yield off of a coffee tree in 1 year? 1 pound. Whenever anybody asks us, what's the lifespan of your coffee trees? We'll say a good 50 to 55 years we'll get that pound.
Wow.
As they grow older, the cherries will get a little smaller. We will not get that full pound. Right now, if you do the quick math, we're at our 40th year. And I just want to say, if you guys haven't been keeping up with the news, last Thursday we found out that our contract got extended. Oh yes! 15 more years we'll be here, guys. So, this right here is a very archaic piece of equipment. These are called yak boxes. So as the water travels down from our Alexander Reservoir and our Hanapipa River, it flows in the top end. The mesh screen traps all the bigger debris, leaves, twigs, fish, shrimp, whatever's going down. Then an underground reservoir works its way through those sand filtration systems to take out those minute variables. Maintaining and keeping these drip irrigating lines are essential to us producing coffee from. Can you see within the tree line what we're starting to do? We're starting to grow radishes and turnips and grass. Why? Because especially that radishes and turnips decompose within the soil, it'll help to aerate the soil, which aids in the successful growing of our coffee trees. And anything like this grass decomposes, it'll add additional nutrients to the trees on both sides. You guys, with this little coolness, you guys cannot even imagine how hot and dry this side of the island is. Aside from the water sourcing, any additional nutrients we can provide these trees, we will do. Coffee trees need 4 essentials. Number 1 is sun. I wake up to sunny conditions almost every day out of my life. Number 2, water. Bar none, we have one of the best water sourcing in the world. So many people say, if you guys are the dry side, that side of the island is the wet side. So why don't you grow your coffee trees there, right? Simple. Now with the rain abundantly growing on the trees, now you got to deal with the mildew, and that doesn't help the trees grow successfully. Look at this field. They haven't gotten here, but you see what happens when the weeds and vines override. The trees are hidden. They don't get the full sunlight.